Liz.
Hi, Brian. You
How
all
are you
right?
this morning?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Oh, we're like twins. We're all black
Good.
and red.
I know we're matching, aren't we? It's like we planned it.
Absolutely. Um, I think we just crack on and start joining, don't we? We've got some viewers. Good
Yeah.
morning to everybody that's saying good morning. I don't think you can see
Good
the comments,
morning.
can you, Lucy? So I will.
I can't see the comments. I'm relying on you to be my wingman.
So it doesn't matter what I make up. You've got to answer the questions, haven't you?
I'll
Um,
know if there's any, yeah.
any faults, any made up. No, thank you to anybody who joined us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here. We're for the next sort of half an hour or so. We're going to talk you a little bit about how we got into racing, what we done, and our roles as regional welfare managers for race and welfare, and answer any questions that anybody who is out there watching might have for us. I thought I would go do ladies first and let Lucy go. She was happy to.
I can take it away, absolutely. Hopefully what this does is it gives people a little bit of a better insight into um our background, how we come to work for race and welfare, some of what we love about our job, and hopefully some of the things that people might not know that race and welfare are able to do, or some of the things that we do that might go on a little bit behind the scenes. But I can start off by giving you a bit of background about me. I grew up around horses in the borders. You can't really get away from them down there. Um, so I very much had kind of ponies growing up, and I hunted with the Jed Forest, which was um, the most fun. Every now and then we'd get a cheeky Tuesday off school to go hunting if it was a local meet, which was always a bit of a bonus. And that's really how I got into racing and enjoying racing. Kelso was my local race course. We used to go down there quite a lot. So really kind of growing up around going racing and point to pointing as well was a big part of my life. As I kind of got a little bit older, I was doing my exams at school and really, really was keen to have a shot point to point in. I was not hugely successful. I spent an awful lot of time on the ground, which I think was partly due to the fact that I was 16 and should have probably been riding out an awful lot more than I maybe was. I was getting out on weekends and juggling doing my hires with riding. I had a fantastic big horse called Old Rolla, who was an absolute superstar and really, really looked after me. Um, but even he couldn't save me, and I ended up getting quite a few clatters.
You
So,
still went back for more,
so
did
yeah, still kept going. Didn't knock any sense into me. So that's really what kind of made me fall in love with racing. And before I went off to go to university, I was adamant that I wanted to have a little bit of time working in racing and kind of experience that. So went down and lived in Midland, where I worked for Kate Walton for a year, which was fantastic. I loved Midland. I love the countryside. I'm a proper country bumpkin. So being sort of surrounded by hills and horses was literally my dream. And yeah, had a really great experience down there. I think getting to work on a small yard was really good for me because it was so new. And everyone was really friendly and really looked out for each other, and yeah, it was just a kind of great atmosphere. Some really nice horses. Um, I was one of the only girls that worked in the yard there, so I definitely got looked after. I got all the good
you?
rides. Um, didn't get put on too many crazy 2-year-olds or anything like that, so I was quite lucky. And that's kind of how I got into racing and a bit of the bug. I don't know if you want to take over, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit about me. This is a bit of a Scottish takeover today. I'm also from Scotland. I grew up on the west coast and was never not from a horsey family at all. But when I was younger, we went on a caravan holiday, and I went on a pony trek on a little fat Shetland called Rollo. and that I got the bug. So when I went home, started riding lessons, and eventually, after years and years of nagging, got a pony, a little 12-2 pony called Jalna, a little ginger thing, who threw me all over the place, but also won loads of competitions. And I was really small. I was a small child, so everybody would always say, "Oh, you should be a jockey. You should be a jockey." And because they said that, I just wanted to become a jockey. Went to work for who was at the time Scotland's champion trainer, Ian Semple. We had some wonderful years there. Worked from him from I was 15, and was very fortunate that he gave me my apprentice license. I had a few spins as a jockey around the northern courses in Scotland, and then I went on to become Ian's assistant trainer, which was great. Jerry's putting an Irish flag up there. Go on, Jerry. Yeah, I went on to be Ian's assistant trainer, and really lucky. We had 50. The time was the record for the amount of horses winners trained in Scotland, and we had 50 winners in one season, which was really good to be part of that. And just absolutely loved it. So it was Ian's assistant trainer. Travelled horses up and down the country, around the world, which was great. And then I went on to work at the Northern Racing College for a while as an instructor and a roving assessor. So I was teaching the younger generation of staff for the racing industry and about an industry that I love, teaching assessing them up and down the country around Scotland and Yorkshire, which was great. And then a few years after that, I went to work for Mick Shannon as head lad, and was another great 5 years there. When I was there when Samatar won the Thousand Guineas, and Music Show won the Falmouth Stakes. So some great memories. Got to travel around the world with that. So been to Australia and Canada and Hong Kong and all the European countries that we have racing in. So racing took me to a lot of places that I probably would never have got to if it wasn't for working in the industry. So really grateful. And then sort of takes me on to today, when here we are at Racing Welfare and doing a job that's fantastic, and I'm sure I speak for us both when I say I absolutely love it, and it's great to give something back to the industry and support the people who we've worked with all these years.
And is that what attracted you to your role at Racing Welfare, Brian? Was it the kind of giving back to the industry, or what was it that sold it for you?
Yeah, definitely giving back, and it's a different understanding. So we're still connected to the racing industry. We still have a huge connection to it, and that was really important, and a role that I was looking for at the time where I was, and sort of my career progression. I wanted to remain connected to the industry, and racing welfare is a big part of the industry, and just getting bigger and bigger, aren't we? Which is fabulous. And yeah, being able to give back, and being so connected to this community here in Lambourn. So based down in Lambourn, and working, managing the South region is great, and you get to know the community. You're still a real part of the racing industry, which is I wouldn't want anything else. And to support those people with everything that we do at Racing Welfare, which I think we're going to talk about, aren't we, Lucy, about what we do and how we do it and why we do it. And what about your role? What brought you to Racing Welfare?
I think to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, really, I always loved racing, and I think probably wasn't aware of the breadth of what you can do in the industry, which I think a lot of people aren't. You know, when you're maybe a little bit younger, you don't see all the different roles and the behind the scenes that's going on. And I love working with people. Like, I'm a real people person. I like meeting new people. I like finding out about people, and really, I think some of my past roles, my kind of past work history and things, it has been about sort of that helping and trying to support people to kind of overcome challenges, or to get past those kind of things that they feel like are in their way. And that's what I really loved about this role, and that's what really drew me to it to begin with. Was it just married those completely? You know, it was the real getting down and working with people and getting to know people and learn about different people, but also you are still so connected to the industry, and there's nothing better than kind of going for a day at the races, or going to visit a yard, and you bump into the same faces, and everyone it's that kind of community where everyone, you know, will just say, oh hi, how's it going, and that's what's really lovely about it. And I think, you know, you're talking about being down in Lambourne. I was a welfare officer covering Scotland and now manage the North region. But on a, you know, I'm in a country, and it still feels like that close-knit community. And you still get, you know, staff that maybe work at one yard and then they pop up somewhere else, or you go racing and you see all the same faces, and it's lovely. And even wider, you know, across the North, we still get that kind of sense of community. Everyone,
Yeah.
you hear it quite a lot, don't you? Everyone's sort of like rooting for the North, and then, oh, the North's had a big winner,
Oh,
or
North.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
More
So
X just said
that's
go
really what.
Scotland, so that's, yeah, go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely flying the flag. So no, I love that. And I think actually we're very lucky to have that in our industry. I think there's a lot of different sectors that have lost that a bit. And I think it's something that really, really does draw people to the racing industry and to racing and to go racing. And I think, yeah, it's one of the huge positives of what we do, isn't it?
Absolutely, I completely agree. There's nothing better than the racing industry, and I've missed it while it's been a lockdown. Missed the racing, and it did have an impact on everybody, didn't it, in one way or another. Um,
Definitely.
we've got currently got 23 live viewers, Lucy, so we're not doing too bad for our little List Women sketch here. If anybody's got any questions, fire them at us. Otherwise, we'll just keep babbling on and babbling on and babbling
We're
on.
good at that, Brian.
We've got a question in from Dawn Goodfellow, who's our chief executive here at Race and Welfare. And you should be the first question, didn't you?
Yeah.
She wants to know, what is the achievement you each feel most proud of? I don't know if that's from a lifetime career point of view or from a race and welfare point of view. Maybe pluck one from each. I'm happy to start. So from a career point of view, good morning. Paul Dalton says good morning, Lucy.
Good morning, Paul.
From a career point of view, I suppose my biggest achievement, I think, was what I feel most proud of in my racing career was saddling up a winner, my first Group 3 winner that I'd trained, I'd driven the horse box and travelled on my own. And the feeling when that horse, it was a horse called Arnold Lane, and we travelled all the way to Germany, and he won a Group 3, and he was a lovely horse. He was an absolute cripple, and we struggled to train, and we had to train on the sand, and we'd done a lot of walking, and we travelled to Germany. It took us 3 days, and he passed the line 6 lengths in front in the Group 3, and the feeling was just great. There's no better feeling, and I can only imagine what it feels like for for jockeys and to ride a group winner, but to be there and have saddled it and led it up and travelled it, was I was really proud of that moment, and it's just I've still got the pictures on my mantelpiece at home, because that was great. And then from a race and welfare point of view, I think the thing I'm most proud of is one of our recent services or grants that we just launched was the Return to School grants. So we've done a lot. Excuse me, sorry. We've done a lot for people throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think the Return to School grants, where we're offering £100 to families with children of school age, has been a real achievement. I feel particularly proud of the team for pulling that together so quickly and supporting those families with it. And also this wonderful team that we have at Race and Welfare. I feel really proud of everybody that we employ here, and the job that we do in supporting the industry. Over to you, Liz.
What a list of achievements.
Oh,
How am I going to live up to this?
it's like this is my life, isn't it?
In terms of kind of personal achievement, I think getting my degree would be up there. I had to work really hard for my degree. I'm probably not naturally very academic,
Oh,
but
behave.
I But I did put a lot of work into my degree, and it paid off. And it was one of those moments that I was really kind of pat on the back. I was so pleased to have done well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a personal achievement, I would say. Professionally, I probably have a couple. I think, and probably only actually thinking about this quite reflectively, coming into the role, which was a new role as a welfare officer in Scotland, at the time I probably didn't appreciate it, but actually I'm really proud of how that's worked out, and this kind of the legacy of race and welfare kind of becoming truly national. I feel like that was almost one of the first steps of having someone that bit further away. I know we've always kind of had roving welfare officers, but I think, I mean, previous to myself, I know the teams in Malton and Midland done a fantastic job of covering the north. But the north's a very big area, and I think I think what we've kind of come to realise as race and welfare is it's so important to involve everyone, and we want to involve everyone, and we want to make sure we are reaching everyone. And sometimes that can take a bit of time, and it can take a bit of resource and development and work. But I think I'm really pleased and proud of how far we've kind of come in terms of reach. And I think that is kind of mirrored in what you're saying, Brian, in terms of the fantastic team that we have around us. Every single day that I come to work, I feel really lucky that I work with the people that I do, which sounds a bit cheesy or a bit cliche or whatever, but it is so true. You know, I don't think I've ever been in an environment where everyone has wanted to succeed and for things to go well, and for and to be able to kind of reach out our support and pick up as many people as possible, and it's a really satisfying feeling coming to work and that being the situation. And I like to think that everyone does kind of see that in what we do. But I would say that's kind of, that's where I feel my achievements are.
That's been a huge achievement of the charity in the last couple of years, isn't it? We have that presence in Scotland, we have that presence in Wales as well now. So rather than just, like you said, the teams have always covered them, but to have that dedicated person for that whole country is great, and it shows that our national coverage is getting better.
Absolutely.
And is it we're right at the top of our game, because racing is in Scotland, it is in Wales, and it's important that we are there as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's kind of mirrored in our services. I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of our services and some of the things people might not be aware of, but obviously we now have the Workforce Wellbeing Programme, which sort of encompasses our Careers Advice and Training Service, CATS, OH, our mental health services, and race and support line. Now, they've always existed for people in Scotland, for example, but actually now what we're able to do is those services can be much more bespoke and much more appropriate for people nationally. It's not just the people in the racing centres that are going to benefit most from those. It's people across the country, whether it's someone that needs physio up in Kinross, or someone that needs mental health support down in I don't know my regions of Wales, down in the south of Wales. Everyone
like that.
Everyone can be included in that and is able to access that support just as easily, which I think is massive.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Our support is everywhere. We've got some great services, haven't we? That we continue to push, and they're going from strength to strength. We've just had a question in from Jerry Walsh. He says he still thinks racing has to get into the schools and get kids interested from all walks of life at an early age. But Morag was very quickly on the ball there, answering the question for us, to say that racing to schools is great for young people. And yeah, massive shout out to Racing to Schools as well, because they go into schools, they take kids racing from all walks of life, for a day at the races, and they make a big difference. And the racing colleges also, the racing school and the racing college in Doncaster and Newmarket, also do a lot of recruitment from schools and from kids from all walks of life. so I think the industry as a whole for the recruitment of new staff is wonderful, and
Yeah,
I'm sure everybody's open to new ideas, and I'm sure there's lots of new ideas out there to recruit. Um,
definitely.
but Racing to Schools
I
is
think
a massive, a great initiative. Yeah.
fantastic initiative, and I think there's always new developments happening. I know Racing to Schools, they pick up the school groups, they pick up pony club groups, they pick,
Hmm.
they pick up lots of different youth groups, and get them racing and get them engaged in racing in a really fun way. Which I think is key. When you're going racing and you're young, you're there because you like the horses,
Hmm.
or you like the thrill of the race, and to get people into that at that stage is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed, I don't know if anyone's picked up or noticed it, the Racing Foundation have given a big chunk of money towards pony racing, which
Hmm.
is again fantastic, because it's a really good way of getting youngsters on all different kinds of ponies, getting them into racing, learning about racing, and hopefully if we can get them in at that early stage, like you say, Brian, between Racing to School and the racing schools,
Hmm.
NHC, Scottish Racing Academy, BRS, they can kind of nurture that right up, and we can
Yeah.
see that kind of coming into the industry.
Mm. Well,
Definitely.
what's what's your favourite part of your role as regional welfare manager for the North, Lucy?
I have a couple. I love getting to go racing and to go out on yards and to be around kind of people and doing things. I I think you get this buzz that when I come from a kind of national hunt background, but I love nothing more than an evening meeting at Hamilton where I get kind of go along, watch some racing, um, go into the canteen. You see so many familiar faces. Everyone's in a if it's good weather, everyone's in a good mood, and
Mm.
it's lovely. I also I love when you see a success story. So when someone comes to us and there is so much that we can do to support them, and we really follow kind of go through that journey with them, and whether it's somebody's had an accident or has got an injury, and we really see them kind of progressing, getting back to that point where they're feeling good and well and happy. I love kind of going through that journey with them. And I think finally, I know I'm stealing a few points here, sorry Brian. um I love working with my team. Like, I really, again, it probably sounds a bit cliche, but they're all such a great bunch, and I love nothing more than when we're all kind of together, making plans for the next year, or
Hmm.
getting excited about racing staff week, or really all pulling together and kind of doing what we all do best. Um, what about you?
Again, there's probably too many to bring up. But one of my favourite parts of the role is working with the retired staff. I adore them. I love anything that we do with them. So from our coffee mornings to our trips and outings, to our holidays that we have yearly, and also supporting them. Because we know as we get older, it can be more difficult, and you can be a bit more isolated and things. So supporting them with everyday tasks and things as well as. So that's a real highlight for me. I love when that phone rings and it's one of my oldies. And support whatever they need, and making sure we really do the best for them, and looking after them after they've given so much to the industry. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and benefit, and also sitting in this office, and when that door opens, when we are opened, not at the moment, not knowing what's coming in. So the challenges of everyday welfare life, not knowing who's coming in the door and what sort of presenting issues they got, whether it's good or bad
Yeah.
or indifferent. I love that feeling of the door opening or the phone ringing, and having no idea what's going to be sort of thrown at you. And so
Yeah.
the challenges that they bring, and they make me think, they make me want to be the best I can be to support that person, and that's a real highlight in the job for me as well. And with yeah
Definitely.
the, the difference of what's going on. We've got
Ever changing.
yeah. Um, this support to Racing's workforce. What support is available in terms of services? Was a question we got.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of services available. Somebody once referred to as a one-stop shop for everything, which is a pretty good explanation of what we are. But we have lots of our main services. So we have an occupational health service, which is aimed at people working in the industry, to keep them at work, to get them back to work through accidents and injuries. It's a really simple referral process that we we've put in place to help keep the workforce of racing healthy and able to do the job. We have our careers advice and training service, which does exactly what it says in the tin. It advises you on your career and your training. We have dedicated CATS advisors who talk you through career progression within the industry. So from stable staff through to racecourse staff can all access that service and complete courses and qualifications to continue to climb the career ladder in the racing industry. So it's a really positive service that we offer. What about you, Lucy? What other services have we got that you want to mention?
Well, just off the back of that kind of ties in, we have our racing support line, which is invaluable, really. It is, there 24/7, 365 days a year, and is a fantastic first port of call if somebody maybe doesn't really know what kind of help they're looking for, or is feeling a little bit stuck on something, or is looking for a little bit of advice on something. The support line itself can offer kind of that immediate advice, or they can refer you on to your local welfare officer, who would be able to pick up with any ongoing support that you might need, which I think is a fantastic resource to have. We all lead very busy lives, so it's really important to have something that's there. When you have a minute, you can just give them a bell and get in touch that way. We have our mental health support services, which we are always looking to kind of develop and keep changing all the time, like all of our services. Within our mental health support, we do offer counselling for people via the telephone, and that can be really important because it can be really scary to reach out and ask for help, I think, in relation to your mental health and how you're feeling about yourself. And it's that kind of accessible. It can fit in around people's lives. It's a great way of just reaching out and getting that extra support. We also have as kind of part of our mental health support package, I guess, we have mental health awareness courses and mental health first aid courses that we are able to deliver. We have Karen, who many of you may know, many of you might not, but she is a fantastic trainer, and she runs the courses, which I believe there are a couple in October happening, but they get booked up pretty quickly. So anyone that was ever interested in the mental health awareness or first aid courses can always get in touch with us and kind of put their name on the waiting list. But again, that's just a really useful tool in giving people some support in how they can support other people, think about their own mental health, learn a little bit more about the tools that are out there and things that can be done to help people with their mental health and their well-being, which is great because actually it's something that can feel a bit scary and a bit daunting. So that's our great thing. We also obviously run kind of mental health awareness week back in May. We kind of pushed the industry campaign for that, and are constantly kind of keeping on top of new developments and things. Out with that, we do an awful lot as well. It feels like we're just talking about what we do, but actually it's because there's so much.
There's so much. You couldn't fit it all into a quick sketch show, could you, what we do? A really valid point from Rod, and thank you very much, Rod. He said he'd like to support the volunteers, especially Eileen, who's kindly kept in touch with them during the epidemic. And we would also like to say a massive thank you to everybody who's volunteered for us over the years and through the pandemic. Without volunteers, it would be really a lot more difficult for us to run the charity. The volunteers are hugely important to us, so a massive shout out to all them, and a big thank you from everybody at Epsom Welfare to the volunteers and what they do for us.
Everyone that volunteers for us in whatever capacity that is, fundraising, welfare, they are an extension of what we do, and we couldn't do it without their support. So I think that's, yeah, goes without saying. And actually, off the back of that, it's interesting to kind of talk about some of the things that have maybe changed. And one of those is we now have the check-in and chat service that we never had kind of pre-COVID, which is a kind of telephone befriending service, but with a bit of a difference in that the volunteers kind of give you a bell, have a chat, and it's that kind of friendly interaction with someone that's got a shared interest, which
the
is
friend
really
that you
cool.
never knew you had, isn't it, calling you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Racing welfare, bringing friendships together for years to come.
Yeah,
What we're doing.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, another great service that's just went from strength to strength through this pandemic that we all have to keep mentioning, don't we? Sadly, we've babbled on for over half an hour, a while. But before we go, I just wanted to let everybody know about Epsom Open Day. So on Monday, the 31st of August, we have a virtual Epsom Open Day, which will all be live from our Facebook page. So we have some live interviews. We have Derek Thompson, who's doing the Morning Line Reborn from 9 a.m. on Facebook. So please tune in and see behind the scenes. We have some content throughout the day with some interesting polls, little competitions possibly. And then towards the end of the day, we have another live behind the scenes of Evening Stables, which will be really interesting. So that's in addition to next week's virtual coffee morning. We have all that content on Monday. So please tune into our Facebook page, tell your friends, tell your family.
Spread the word.
we can't do it in person this year. It's a huge success every year, and we can't do it this year because of the current restrictions. So we've gone virtual, and we really hope it's a huge success, and the viewers are what's going to make it a huge success. What about from the north, Lucy? Have you got anything to share with us?
In the north, we really sadly missed out on Midland Open Day this year, which is usually on Good Friday. Good
Yeah.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, Good Friday.
I was really doubting myself there. Yeah, Good Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in place of Midland Open Day and Malton Open Day, we have got the virtual Yorkshire Open Day this year taking place on Sunday the 13th of September, which, very similar to as Brian was explaining, is going to feature some kind of behind the scenes and insights into racing yards across the whole of Yorkshire. It's going to have some interviews with racing personalities and kind of snippets of features going on throughout the day. That's going to be taking place across all of our social media channels. So there's kind of something for everyone. If you're an Instagram fiend, you can get on there. There will be stuff on Facebook. Exactly as Brian said, what will really make it is people getting on, watching those videos, sharing stuff about it, interacting with it, commenting on things. We've also got an online dog show. So if any of you have any poochies at home who are maybe gonna get themselves a little rosette or a little prize, get them signed up. And an online art competition. So hopefully there's something for absolutely everyone to be able to get involved with. That's Sunday the 13th of September. It should be a really good day. It's a really nice way of getting to involve all the yards across Yorkshire when we've very sadly missed out on the kind of in-person open day, but I'm sure we'll make it a good one. The only other thing I was just going to mention quickly is the auction went live today.
Yes, the auction went live today. Head over to our social media channels or our website, and I think there's over 50 lots on there. Racing memorabilia.
100, I think, Brian.
Oh, is it? Oh,
there's a lot
I've
of
not
lots.
had a chance to look yet, but there's a lot of lots on there. And some really, really
if anyone's
things. Those lots that you can't get in the shops that you can't buy. Unless you head to our website. So head over there to racingwelfare.co.uk. Oh, I could be on QVC, couldn't I?
Yeah, and I think the key thing is if anyone ever wants to get in touch with a welfare officer, please do. We want to hear from you always. If it's feedback, if it's something you need some support with or some advice with, that's what we're here for. And spread the word, tell everyone about us, get them signed up to this Facebook page. I know there's going to be racing conversations going on for probably some time yet, so it's good to get everyone here and kind of participating and involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And just before we go, I think a massive shout out to Adam and Chloe, our regional community executives in the North and South, who have put this group together, who've worked tirelessly to make these events happen every week. So I think they deserve a massive round of applause, and or just Lucy and I then. I'm sure you're all clapping with us at home there. But yeah, big shout out to Adam and Chloe, because they really do put a lot of work in behind the scenes to make these go ahead every week. And we've been very honoured to join you today, and thanks for listening.
No, thank you for having us.
Hopefully see you all again.
And hope
soon
everyone has a lovely weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Bye.